This morning, on a beautiful Belfast morning, as the sun broke over the city, Republicans tied a wreath to the gates of the Crumlin Rd jail to commemorate the 75th anniversary today of the execution of Tom Williams. It was a very poignant moment. It was a very important moment. We then assembled again at 12 o'clock at the gates of Milltown Cemetery, where we'll walk to Tom Williams' grave and we'll hold a wreath-laying ceremony. Fran McCann, a local MLA, is the principal speaker today, and a number of families of those men who were also condemned to be executed but later reprieved with Tom will be with us today, and we lay wreaths and we remember Tom, and in remembering Tom we'll remember all of those who have died and who now lie in this graveyard, who've died for the cause of Irish freedom. So it's a very important day. It's a very important day for Republicans.
The 2nd of September 1942 has become ingrained in the memories of Irish Republicans. The execution of IRA Volunteer Tom Williams on that date once again highlighted how little the British understood the Republican psyche and how little they understood the deep feelings the Republican community had for those who challenged British rule in Ireland. I was born 11 years after the execution of Tom Williams, but my earliest memories was the story of Tom Williams and his bravery as he walked to the gallows. I heard about the age-old struggle for Irish freedom. Back then, people spoke in hushed voices as they related the story of this sectarian state and those who put their heads above the parapet to carry on the age-old war against British rule. I also heard the stories of what the partition of Ireland meant for nationalists and Republicans. Tom Williams was born in Montgomery Street in the Beachmount area on the 12th of May 1923. He was born into a state freshly partitioned, a state which waged a sectarian war on its citizens. Shortly before Tom's birth, his family had been forced out of their home in the Shore Road area after it was attacked and burnt. This was the backdrop to Tom's childhood. At an early age, he moved to Bombay Street to live with his grandmother, and as soon as he was old enough, he joined the Féin in the Clonard area, where he was an active volunteer and held the rank of QM. During this time, it was very difficult for young nationalists to gain employment in this state, and when Tom turned 17, he immediately joined the IRA. When he was just 18, he was appointed OC of C Company, which in itself brought a lot of responsibility on his young shoulders. In 1939, the British went to war, and at that time Irish Republicans held the age-old belief England's difficulties was Ireland's opportunity. The IRA mobilised and young volunteers were trained in use of arms, and a new campaign began. On Easter Sunday 1942, local volunteers in C Company, and in particular Tom as the OC, were asked to organise a distraction to ensure the Easter commemoration was not disrupted by British state forces, a practice they had done from the mid-1920s. Tom and a number of his comrades were given this responsibility. During the operation, the volunteers opened fire on a passing RUC patrol. As the volunteers made their way back to the call house, the RUC pursued them and a gun battle ensued, and during the exchange an RUC man named Patrick Murphy was shot dead and Tom was seriously injured, being hit twice. In the aftermath of this, Tom and his comrades were charged with murder, and all 6 volunteers were sentenced for killing Murphy. They were Henry Cordner, aged 19, William James Parry, aged 21, Sean Terence Oliver, aged 21, Patrick Simpson, aged 18, and Joe Cahill, aged 21. All were sentenced to death. Also charged at that time was Madge Burns, later known as Madge McCampbell, who was the oldest woman interned in the present phase of this struggle, and Margaret Nolan. Both were initially charged with murder, however had their charges dropped and they were released. Upon release, Madge McCampbell was immediately rearrested and turned, where she was held in Armagh prison for over 2.5 years. As people outside prison mobilised to campaign for clemency, a petition was collected which contained over 250,000 signatures, which included senior members of the Catholic and Protestant clergy. The Vatican also appealed to the British government, as did members of the US Senate and Congress. On Sunday the 30th of August, Tom and his comrades were called to a legal meeting with their solicitor, Mr. D.P. Marianan, who addressed the volunteers saying, I have good news for everyone but Tom, and all but Tom has been reprieved. Upon hearing this, Tom spoke. He said, "Do not grieve for me. Remember from day one, this is how I wanted it. I wanted to die, and I am happy that you five are going to live." On this day 75 years ago, IRA Volunteer Tom Williams walked bravely to his death. Outside the prison, women kneeled on the ground and prayed. In Republican and Nationalist communities, a sense of despair was deeply felt. Following in the footsteps of Tone, Emmett, Conley and Pearse, another young Irishman had given his life for the freedom and liberty of his country. Not satisfied with taking the life of this young volunteer, the British buried his body in an unmarked grave within the prison walls. 60 years of protest and campaigning passed, led by his comrades in the National Graves Association, before Tom's remains were eventually released from Crumlin Rd prison. He was finally led to rest and reinterred here in Milltown Cemetery on the 19th of January in the year 2000. So what has been the legacy of the execution of Volunteer Tom Williams? His sacrifice inspired thousands of young Irish men and Irish women who answered the call of freedom and joined the ranks of the IRA. The name of Tom Williams was known in every county of this country of ours. I remember listening to those great Republicans, Madge McConville and Joe Cahill, who were my inspiration. It was the stories they told of that period that kept this struggle alive. We have a duty and an obligation to this great struggle of ours to ensure those present and future generations of young people are told the story of Tom Williams and his comrades. Tell them of Tone and Emmett, of O'Donovan Rossa, of Clark and Conley, of Joe MacDonald, Kieran Doherty and Bobby Salmons. These are the people who inspired generations. It is up to us to ensure that their sacrifice serves as continued inspiration to future generations of young Republicans. And in the words of that famous ballad, "Brave Tom Williams, we salute you, and we never will forget. Those who planned your brutal murder, we vow will make them all regret." The best way that we can do that is to ensure the Ireland that they died for, free of British interference, becomes a reality. So let us leave here today in the knowledge that this great struggle of ours is stronger than ever, and we remain as deeply committed to the ideals of Tom Williams and those who have gone before us. We are on the road to freedom, but in getting there, let us remember the words of IRA hunger striker Bobby Salmons, who said, "Every one, Republican or otherwise, has their own particular part to play. No part is too great or too small. No one is too old or too young to do something." Let us take up this challenge and bring this struggle to a successful conclusion. Bergia, go Romeo, Mila Mayogat, thank you very much.